Welcome to the Rise and Rise of the Perimenopausal Princess with Jade Sterling. I'm your host, Jade Sterling, a perimenopausal woman who once found herself sitting in her car wondering what the purpose of life even was, at a time where it felt like that there was a mist over my body, mind, and spirit. The world was telling me that perimenopause had arrived and I was expected to surrender the next 10 years or so to survival, to ride the wave, to just get through it. But as a Generation X warrior, I knew there had to be another way. So I went searching for something to believe in, for something, anything to feel better. What I found was a compass, a map, and a process. Now I'm here to lead others out of the mist, out of the silence of the patriarchy, and into the highest level of personal power available to us. A portal into a version of yourself that you may not even know exists yet. With my experience as a women's health nurse, coach, and almost 5 decades of life as a human being, I'm honored to be your guide on this journey. Be prepared to feel inspired, empowered, reawakened as I guide you out of the mist and into the next most powerful chapter of your life. Join me as we explore the stories, secrets, and strategies to help you reclaim your power, purpose, and peace in perimenopause. Hey there, welcome to the Rise and Rise of the Perimenopausal Princess with Jade Sterling. I am your host, Jade Sterling. I'm here today to talk to you about your relationships and how they affect your energy, and how your energy affects your relationships. This is step 5 of the Positive Energy Circuit, which is the framework that I walk and talk and is the foundation for everything that I do and teach and shout from the rooftops, because this is a 7-step system that I have found completely works to help me feel better in my life and upgrade to also feeling awesome and achieve goals that I never thought possible. And this is why I'm sharing this with as many people as possible, and I've found that it is working for other people as well. So if you've been with me over the last 5 weeks, you'll know that I have been working on a $10,000 experiment where I decided that I wanted to make $10,000 in a month to support my family. And this is really a symbol of power in today's society, which is why I chose money as something to achieve and strive for. And in the process, elevate myself physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, energetically, financially, to a place that I didn't think would be possible. Because I've been doing that for myself over the last 12 months particularly, but over the last 5 years, I wouldn't have thought the person sitting in this chair would be possible right now. So if I can extend and expand myself, and it's working to help others have a similar experience, then why not stretch it even further and see how far we can actually create miracles in our lives and things that we never thought possible. So I've just spent the last few days recording the Positive Energy Circuit digital program. So it's actually going to be available for you on download. I'm so excited about that. And more information will be in the description below. But at this point, I'm here to talk to you about step 5 and where we're at, which is really important to be able to understand and move through, because your energy is currency, as is money currency. So you see, it's all related. It's all going to make sense. Modern day psychology has shown us that how you do one thing, you do everything. So if you can tap into whatever area of your life can help you improve the most, it will ripple out into the rest of your life and help enhance the experience that you're having on a day-to-day basis. So relationships are actually the vehicle of which we can experience anything. We need comparison. Sometimes we look at it like comparing is a critical thing. It's analytical. It might be negative, but we don't know where we are in space and time without comparing ourselves to something else. So let's just try and soften that right now. And we're going to look at how we're actually showing up in our relationships to be able to get a better idea of where we are, and then a better idea of how we can show up in these relationships to receive what we need, to feel like we are serving others for what they need, and just overall live a really fulfilling life. Sounds great, right? So the key relationships that I like to talk about and I refer to have been set by Dr. Paul Jenkins, who you would have heard me talk about at different times in different videos. He is one of my key coaches and teachers, a mentor and a dear friend of mine. And after his 30 plus years experience in clinical psychology, he came up with this list and encourages people to get their relationships in order, like literally in order, because when you do in this particular way, he's found that these people live the happiest, most fulfilling lives. They find that they are energetically able to show up in the way that they want to. They are receiving in the way that they want to. And generally, they're happy, contented, and growing and developing as human beings in the way that they want to. So this list that I'm going to share with you today, it's not prescriptive. This is not a you must do life in this order type list. But I would just like it to give it as an offering, because often it's quite interesting when I bring this list to retreats or to clients or to group programs. I would probably say more times than not, it's met at first with an element of resistance. When I say, get your relationships in order, people are like, what? This is not a prescriptive list to make sure that this is how you are triaging your life in order of importance. This is triaging your life in order of energy and how you're showing up. So sometimes this can be met with a little bit of resistance, but as I would like to offer to you, if things are working in your life right now, if your relationships are thriving and you're happy and you have lots of energy for yourself and for the other people around you, then it doesn't matter what I say. You can probably turn off the video at this point, unless you want to just, by curiosity, find out what I've got to say. If things are working for you, don't worry, that's awesome, keep going. But I offer this as a way for people to have a look at their relationships if things are not working. Because when I first came across this list, I remember thinking, I haven't been triaging my energy in that way because I haven't thought it to be important in that way. And it felt uncomfortable at first to even consider putting my energy in order. But what I did was stick this list up on my fridge and look at it and consider it, and then watched how it was unfolding in my life. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that. But getting curious about it first is the first step to being open to it. And then once you're open to it, your perspective changes and you can see things differently. And then this actually falls into your body and becomes what you do in your daily life and how you show up, and that changes your experience. And so if you're happy, great, wonderful, awesome. I'm so happy for you, and I hope that maybe this can just enhance what's already happening for you. If you're not happy, I'd like you to consider how you're showing up and how you are actually putting your key relationships in order and how you're triaging your energy. So let's talk about the 7 key relationships. Number 1 is your relationship with your creator or your source. And now I'm not here to tell you what that is. That could be for you God, it could be the universe, it could be a sense of peace. But it's having an idea of what your relationship with in terms of an energy that is bigger than you, energy that is holding you. Because I kind of think that this is one of the biggest downfalls or pitfalls of humankind right now, if I was to make a big bold statement, is the focus and the emphasis that we are solely responsible for everything and it is us running the show. If you were to actually take a step back and pull the lens back just a moment, whatever it is your belief is, or whether you don't have a belief in anything greater than you, I'd like you to consider that. Is it just you? Are you completely, totally, and utterly responsible for every single thought, feeling, action, nuance, experience, circumstance in your life and in the lives of others? Is there something else bigger than you holding you and gently guiding you through the process so that you actually can't go wrong? And this is basically the crux of what I teach. People think that things have gone wrong. People think that life is working against them, whereas life is actually working for you. And when you can see that and how that is working, it changes how things that you view as negative experience are actually all opportunities. Now, if you're in a place right now where something is very painful, something is very hard, your brain might not quite be able to accept difficult things and painful things as opportunities, but can you be open to something bigger than you holding you at this time? And if we foster a relationship with an energy that is bigger than us, my experience and experience of other clients, and obviously the experience of Dr. Paul Jenkins, who created this list, the result is peace. The result is dropping in, becoming more grounded and more aligned, and less scattered by life as a cyclone and more as a road with different paths leading in different directions. And this slows everything down and dials down your whole nervous system so that you can actually keep the thinking part of your brain involved. We've talked about that on other videos, to be able to make more conscious choices in circumstances as you go. But the road has not been created by you. The road has been excavated out by a team that is bigger than you and knows exactly what you need to get through this life. To get through it, not just to get through it, but to actually thrive and evolve into the best version of yourself that you possibly can, and keep evolving and keep growing and keep glowing, keep growing. So I'd like you just to consider where you're at and what your relationship is at with key relationship number 1, your creator or your source. Key relationship number 2 is yourself. Now, they say you can't pour from an empty cup, and that is right? So you need to be able to have a good relationship with yourself. But one of the things that I've actually been emphasizing this week, I think there is this big misconception with what self-care for yourself and your relationship with yourself actually is. There seems to be a big emphasis on what you need to do to look after yourself. But self-care isn't really an activity. It's not really reading a book or having a bath or going for a walk, which are all activities that are helpful, but only if they're coming from the right place, from the inside. Self-care is what you're thinking with your thoughts. Because remember what we've learned, your thoughts, when you have a thought your brain believes, it releases chemicals into your bloodstream. Those chemicals create your feelings, and your feelings tell your body what to do. So if your whole nervous system is dialed up and your thoughts are racing and they are tainted with negative energy and stress and criticism, then no amount of bubble baths and candles and soft music are actually going to make a difference for you when you show up for those activities. Taking toxic thoughts with you on peaceful outings does not change what's happening on the inside. And it's the inside that ripples out then to put us in alignment with how we're showing up for people on the outside. And it's not going to have an impact in our relationship, or it is going to have an impact, but not in the way that we want to, which is why the positive energy circuit is this 7-step process that just keeps able to take you through around and around and around, like a circuit, like a fitness circuit for your mind and your emotions, so that you are actually recharging and generating positive emotion as much as possible to be able to show up in your life and experience it in a way that feels good and fulfilling and worthwhile. So self-care is not what you do, it's where your mind is at. So be very aware that this is relationship number 2. Relationship number 3 in your 7 key relationships is your spouse or your life partner. So this is someone who you choose to spend your life with. I really do feel that your partner is actually a choice on a daily basis. And I've noticed within myself that because we are literally choosing this person every single day very consciously, I say that, but that's because I now am choosing my partner every single day very consciously. But prior to that, there were times I was waking up every day and wondering why I was with this person and what the purpose was supporting me in my life and the family that we'd created. And you can have moments where you are questioning where you've ended up and who you've ended up with and what's going on. But in essence, your life partner is the person that you are choosing every single day. We don't get to choose the other members of our family, but we choose our life partner. And if you want to live a long and happy life with them, you have to consider them, and the way you triage your energy is number 3 on your list of key relationships. Relationship number 4 are your children. Your children are relationship number 4. Now, I've seen it in my life, and I will give you an example of my own experience, but I've also seen it in clients where they have said to me, oh, but my children come first. That's fine if it feels good and it's working and you're happy. But most of the time, this is actually significantly affecting key relationship number 2 and number 3, because they're taking a back seat to where the children are at. And this is not working in balance and harmony with creating harmonious relationships for yourself and for the others around you. So I'd like you to consider that, of course, your children are on the list. They're number 4, but they're number 4 on the list. If you don't have a life partner or you don't have children, then you default from number 1 to 2 straight down to number 5, which is your extended family. Your extended family are your parents, they're your grandparents, they're siblings, they're cousins, they're aunties and uncles, they're anyone else outside of your family that's not your life partner and that's not your children. And so it's good to know that, right? It is so good to know that they are on the list. They are so important in your life. They enhance your life. They have helped you to become who you are. But the way you triage your energy, have you been triaging them and looking them as number 5 on your list? You don't have to tell them that they're number 5 on the list, by the way. But for you to understand what might help you show up better with your energy and with your thoughts and your feelings and the actions towards these people in your life, your extended family, which are anyone in your immediate family or extended family outside of your spouse and your children, are number 5 on the list. Number 6 in your 7 key relationships are other people, friends, neighbors, community members, people in your circle of interest, maybe your church, maybe your school, other people in your life, anyone that's not in your family. Now, of course, remember, this is not a prescriptive list. This is a list of observations that people who live in this way, with these relationships in this order, tend to be more fulfilled and more happy and with more energy and more contented in their lives. But this is up to you to use it in the way that feels best for you. I actually have a couple of friends that really should be in number 6, but there's 2 of them that are closer to me than, well, as close to me as my sister. So I put them up in family. In number 5 is my extended family. Because when something happens in my life, I call my sisters. I've actually got 4. I've got 1 biological sister, but I've actually got 4 that I include in my family. So it's just good to be aware how that might work for you and how it is working for you. So number 6 are other people. They're on the list. They're still there, but they're number 6. And number 7 in the list of 7 key relationships are things. Your relationship to things are still so important. Things might be your material possessions. Things might be your job, your money, your house, things that you own. It's still important to have a relationship with those things. It's still important to be connected, to be respectful, and the way that you're showing up for those things. But they're number 7 on the list. Quite often, I see people come in with this list completely the other way around, and they are not feeling good about themselves or about their lives, the direction of their lives, where they are in their present place in time, and where they see themselves going. And when we actually look at possibly flipping that list upside down and just considering how you're showing up that way, it's really interesting to watch things settle, shift, and show up in different ways without actually changing a thing. All you're doing is considering the perspective in your head and then not changing anything outside of you, and then watching how that actually reflects back in your life. I've just found to be incredible. And my life is an example of this. A quick one, when I've shared before about when I was at my rock bottom and I was really struggling to show up in my marriage as the partner that I wanted to, because I felt so disconnected from my husband at the time. My children were going through a really, I don't know, do children ever go through an easy phase? They were going through a really challenging phase. I don't know, they were probably 8 and 5, maybe a little bit older. So like we were busy, right? My mother had come to live with us. She was chronically unwell. Her health was deteriorating. And that was physically, mentally, and emotionally. And she had actually come to live with us because our town had experienced a huge, massive, disastrous, devastating flood as a result of a cyclone that happened further north, and it wiped out our entire town. We had no infrastructure, no shops, no services, no. Look, I go back maybe and have a look at some of the other videos and see where I've shared the story in greater detail. But this is where I got to my rock bottom energetically. I had nothing. And things were very challenging, and I could not really curl up in a ball and tell the world to go away. I would have liked to, but lots of people were depending on me at that time. And also my workplace was very challenging. I was in industrial disputes. There was a lot going on. And I remember feeling that feeling of just my pilot light going out, and I had nothing to give anyone. I wasn't interested to get up in the mornings. I wasn't motivated or inspired. I was depressed. I wouldn't say clinically depressed, because this is a lot of the work that I do, is differentiating between clinical issues where you need to get a healthcare professional on board and non-clinical issues where we can work with and we just have feelings. We can be depressed, we can be anxious as feelings, and feelings that are helpful and useful for us in our lives to move forward, but that aren't causing problems in our ability to function in our day-to-day life, like the ability to brush your teeth or make your lunch or look after your kids. I often describe it like if your house is on fire. If your house is on fire, really on fire, so if 3 out of 5 of the rooms are ablaze, then you would call in the health professionals. Well, not for a fire, you would call in the fire brigade to come in and put out the flames and establish you in a place of safety. If you are in a place where your house is on fire, like you can't brush your teeth, you can't take care of your kids or make a meal for yourself, then you need to call in the health professionals to help you get that blaze under control, establish you in a place of safety, and be able to make sure that you are able to get what you need. We dial down the crisis. Then once you are in a place of safety and you're in a space where you can look at the ashes that the fire have left you with, and that is when we can look at coaching and yoga therapy, and this is where we can make magic from your ashes, but not if your house is on fire. We need health professionals in that regard. And as I am a registered nurse as well as a coach and a therapist, I'm hoping that while I can help you in one area, I can also help you in another, but also I can help you with getting the right help at the right time. More information about how to connect with me is in the description below. So at this point in my life, dinner was the biggest source of stress. Like, I can pull back the lens and tell you my life was atrocious and I was stressed and I was depressed and I was all of these things. But if I was then to put the lens back in and focus on what was actually triggering me at that time, it was a dinner. At dinner time, my husband would come home and he would be ravenous and he would want a really good meal right now. Hangry is a word that I think was defined by people like him, and he would need food. and would expect food, which is fair enough because at this time I was staying at home, looking after the kids, looking after my mum, and he was going off to work. And he was also helping the community clean up from the natural disaster. We all were. That's another story. But then my kids at this time, they had been snacking throughout the day. I've just been trying to keep them happy by here, food, 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 food. Oh my God, I saw a great meme the other day. Someone saying, my kids are always hungry and I'm always yelling and cleaning. And yet, oh no, my kids are always eating food and I am always yelling and cleaning. And yet my kids are still hungry all the time and my house is a mess. WTF. I'm like, I can relate to that. Certainly at this time. And I'd just be like feeding the kids to just be happy, 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 just feed the kids all day. But then they'd get to dinner and they'd be nuts, right? So they needed a proper meal, which I had been. Like, I wasn't a neglectful mum. I'm saying all these things because I'm like, my gosh, what are people thinking that I was doing with these children? But, you know, we're in survival mode as mums, right? And so sometimes we just do what we've got to do. And this was a particularly tricky time. So I know you're with me. So I wanted a good meal at dinner. Dinner was going to be the good meal of the day that I felt like people have gotten veggies, people have gotten some kind of protein, they'd be getting some kind of nutrition that I felt like that I had sealed the day and it wasn't complete failure. And then my mum also at dinner time needed medications. She actually needed certain things before she had her medication, but then she also needed food before she had her medication. So I found dinner was just a panic attack waiting to happen. So I didn't know what to do. It was at this time where I just had my energies all over the place. But had I eaten that day? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. I was a bit of a basket case. I needed food. I needed to be able to ground and center myself before I dealt with anybody else, right? Because obviously at this time, particularly for a lot of moms, and particularly at this time of life, we're in the throngs of midlife and we're dealing with children and aging parents and relationships that are shifting and changing, and workplaces and careers and all the things. It can be very difficult to juggle all those things and then still look after ourselves and feel like we're keeping our sanity, right? That's what it's all about. And so I did find myself losing the plot, but this was around the time I found Dr. Paul Jenkins and I started to implement some of his work, and I came across the 7 key relationships, and I looked at the list and I was like, oh, I felt uncomfortable. And it actually kept reminding me, and I had to put a little note down there while I wrote it out and stuck it on the fridge. This is not a level of importance and how you love each person. This is a triage system for your energy. Now, being a nurse, I was like, triage, I can triage. Can I triage my own energy to show up in these relationships in this way? And would it be helpful? Because I knew right now, panic for dinner wasn't the best recipe that was giving me a happy life. So when I started getting curious about it, dinner time would come around and I'm like, right, I would have a moment to breathe, to connect me with a sense of inner peace on the inside that would then feed myself and my soul, that then made me realize I need to eat. So I would actually cook dinner from a place of what do I need? I would prepare my meal. Then husband would walk in, kids would scream, mum would come into the room, and I would be like, right. And in my head, I had my triage. Husband, here is your food. Sit down and eat. Children, here is what you need right now while I sort you out. You can sort this. You can be over here. Mum, right. Now you can eat and let me help you with your medications or whatever else you need. It just helped me in my mind to put things in order. I knew everyone would be taken care of because they were all on my list. But now I knew how to manage my energy in that way. And it was such a relief. And I looked at those 7 key relationships on my fridge every day and realized how I was showing up in them and how it wasn't working for me at the time. And so just by having the awareness, and I didn't really change anything except for what was going on in my head. And as I said, you don't have to say spouse, you're number 3, kids, you're number 4, mum, you're number 5. You don't have to say these things out loud. I have had a client who needed to say that out loud to one of her family members. She needed them to know why she was doing what she was doing. And she thought it was going to be helpful. And it actually was in that respect, because they could understand, oh, this is why you're, oh, okay, I understand it. Might may not, or may be helpful depending on where you're coming at. But I offer it to you as an offering to have a look at how you're showing up in your life. It changed the game for me and continues to do so for many of my clients. Once you can get past the initial moment of realizing that you're not putting them in order of how you love people or how you care about them or how important they are to you. This is a list for you and how you are managing your time and energy to create harmony for you and how you're showing up with the people that you love. I had one client who was having obviously this issue, particularly with the children. And then when she did pull the lens back and have a look at how that was affecting her marriage and started to flip the script and put it the other way around, she realized how she was compromising her relationship, and not just with her life partner, but with herself. And it actually saved her marriage. It was miraculous to watch. And all it was a shift in her head. It wasn't anything that she really did in the outside world. Dr. Paul shares a story about a client of his who always put her sisters first, who just couldn't see how people couldn't see how important her sisters were to her, which is fine. And if she was happy, that was fine. But it turned out she was miserable. And then her marriage didn't survive as a result of that. Now, again, this is non-judgmental. This is just to get you to a place where you're happy. If you're happy, great, awesome, ignore this. If you're not happy, just consider it and have a think about how it's working for you. I also like to share a little story about my husband, how he just saw it on my fridge for maybe 6 months, didn't say anything. And actually, in another video, I share the story in greater detail. But what was really interesting for him is that he started looking at that list and considering how he was showing up, and suddenly started coming to family events more and starting to engage more. And he decided that he realized for him, he had his list upside down completely. And was that working for him? And so sometimes you don't even have to tell the people in your life. You just have to stick it up on the fridge and people will figure it out for themselves. So this is not about shame. It's about noticing where you are. Are you happy and how are you showing up? This is part of step 5, which is so important. Your 7 key relationships and how these are affecting your lives, your life and the lives of others. How this energetically is shaping you to be the person that you are. And how this works to also work towards getting towards the goals that you are setting and achieving. Because for me, in this particular goal that I'm at right now, I had to keep making sure that I wasn't flipping my list upside down the other way, making money and things the focus. But this is actually feeding my soul to know I'm going to be providing for my life partner and my children and my family. And then the possibility of being able to share that with my community, other people, brings me such joy on the inside. This helps me stay connected with my creator and who is holding energy and space for me right now. I feel like I'm a channel for that peace and that ease. And that lights me up. And I hope that you can find that spark for yourself. And just settle into owning your path and creating your peace. And sometimes you need a coach. Sometimes you need a health professional. Whatever you need, you can always get in touch with me through the information in the description below. But from here, I hope you have a beautiful day and I will see you next time. And that's a wrap on this episode of The Rise and Rise of the Perimenopausal Princess with Jade Sterling. I'm your host, Jade Sterling. If this episode landed, resonated, or even cracked something open inside you, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, or share it with a fellow midlife warrior. If you're ready to dive deeper and join me on this quest towards power, purpose, and peace in perimenopause, check out the show notes and get your free Positive Energy Circuit mini power session, your map out of the mist and into the next version of you. Until next time, I'm Jade Sterling, and this is The Rise and Rise of the Perimenopausal Princess with Jade Sterling.